I guess y'all were expecting a blonde girl from Charlotte. Oh, I hate to disappoint you. But it's me. It's Denzel Snipes, and welcome to another episode of the Pundits Pundit. Excuse me. We have tonight with us, of course, you got the Pundits Pundit, Jacob Christner, and we have a special guest tonight, and he is Mr. John Shear. So, how you gentlemen doing tonight?
Oh, very good. Very good. How you doing, John?
I'm doing great. I heard recently something about somebody brought up a topic, and I'm not going to mention who, not to take away your topics, but somebody mentioned about Al Horford being a Hall of Famer because of the analytics stuff, and I thought of you, Jacob, because of how stupid that somebody tried to argue that he's a Hall of Famer because of the analytics of his plus minus for the playoffs this year, and I'm just like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That was so stupid.
Plus minus means do they score on the court with him or without him? Doesn't mean he always did anything.
Yeah, I know.
True.
So I just thought of you, and I thought you would enjoy that.
Break.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I mean, we got a pretty packed show tonight. Let's get to the first topic. So, Jacob, you can go ahead and to introduce us to this.
All right. Okay. So I'm around. I'm around my place of business. I'm around the place I'm working at. Cute little kids come on into the store, and I love to play, and I love it to death. I love seeing little kids going to martial arts. You know, I took 7 years of martial arts, got my black belt. It's a lot of work. And so I see these kids, and then all of a sudden you got these like 5-year-olds, and it's like, hey, I'm going to show you my flying jump hook kick. Hey, yeah. It's like, this is the thing. I'm not going to pretend I had a great flying jump hook kick, but I didn't do a flying jump hook kick until I was red belt,
right?
Which is the next thing to black. And it's like, this is the thing, and this reminds me of the deal, what happened with the Chuck Norris years ago, the whole deal when he had 32 schools. There was the controversies that some of his black belts would get him after a year, and it's like, and then one of the band is like, it becomes at this point it's becoming a business, and it's like at some point. I mean, did you ever take martial arts, John?
I did. I took it for a very long time, and I was very close to my black belt.
I got mine, and it's like, and I moved like, I'm gonna go back into it, but I move a lot better now. But I moved like an ox. I hurt myself quite a bit. And it's like, and I waited to get smooth. And it's like, it's everything has to be smooth when you're moving. You have to work at it hard. And when you hear that they're telling these kids, and of course, this little 5-year-old, it's like, it didn't come close, but I mean, hey, cute. You know, the 7-year-old cute. Oh, that's nice. But what are we doing with these schools? It's like, are you trying to keep them in business? It's one thing now that you have to change things. Like they don't have barefoot in some of these places right now. They've got shoes. They got shoes on the mat because
they should be barefoot.
Yeah, they should be barefoot, but they're doing that type of deal. Things are changing. Now you've got this situation where you're rushing these kids through, and it's kind of like the participation trophy. And I've got a big issue with that. It's like, what happens remember, martial arts is such a different deal. This isn't like baseball where you rush them through. Remember, in the end, they're not getting into a fight. What if you get these kids a black belt and they don't know anything?
Right.
And schools are getting more violent. World's getting more violent. And now you're rushing them through, and they're pretending, oh, I'm a black belt now. I've earned this. Where in the fact that you might understand this, John, when you get yourself black belt, it's only beginning. But it's only beginning. Remember, you get up to the 9th degree, and that's when you're like 88 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
mean,
go ahead.
Also, Jacob, I mean, I don't know if they still teach us in martial arts, but martial arts aren't meant to be used ever. If you never use it in your life, then that's good. It's never meant to be used. It's just there for self-defense, but it's never to be something where you're going on the offensive.
Yeah. And when I was saying that about Chuck Norris, I was a Walker, Texas Ranger fan. I'm a big fan of the guy.
Of course.
Great dude. Great dude.
show.
Very classy dude. Just listen to him. He's very intelligent, very classy. Great dude. But he had 32 schools, and there was a real thing about that. Plus, he separated himself from the Korean art to make his own. So there's been controversies with this guy over the years to be able to. He probably separated from Korea so he could speed up the process to get people black belts, which that's a business deal, but it doesn't help martial arts. Martial arts, you're supposed to work for the rest of your life. It's supposed to be work. And you remember, it's not supposed to be used. You're right. It's not supposed to ever be used. But in this world where it needs to be self-defense, it needs to be constant work. Yep. It needs to be one of those things where, okay, remember when news used to be a loss leader? Way back when? You talk about news, Walter Cronkite, whatever, used to be a loss leader for stations. Martial arts needs to be almost you need to make your money, you need to pay your rent, it needs to be a loss leader for your business, and you have other businesses. It needs to be a special thing for us, and it's something, it means a lot to me. I took off, but I want to go back into it. I want to do it the rest of my life. I have a high respect for it.
Yeah. And what people don't, and the thing is, what people don't understand is if you give your child a black belt too soon, like the point of martial arts is not necessarily the physical aspect, but there's so much more to martial arts than, showing you how to get out of a bear hug or showing you, how to do a jumping kick or whatever you're learning in your respective martial arts school. Like there's so much more that you're being taught that's beyond the physical aspect. Like there's so much the focus, the discipline, and I hope that these schools are teaching these kids that stuff instead of the physical stuff. Instead of, like you said, Jacob, the flying kick at 5 years old, try and instill the discipline and the focus and things like that. That's my hope, because like I told you before, I was in it for a very long time. So I still remember my sensei's name.
Well, so do I, Mr. Wages. And Mr.
Mine
Wages,
was Sensei Gottwald.
Yep. Oh, Mr. Wages, I appreciated him. But I'll tell you this. There was where I got started, there was two martial arts schools, right? One from right across from the other. So I went to the first one, and he's basically, remember the movie Sidekicks?
Yeah.
With Chuck Norris and Joe Piscopo. This dude was like Joe Piscopo, the guy first over. He's doing these flip looks, all that kind of thing. These flip things, trying to be impressive. He has six-pack. He has all that stuff. So I go across the way, and the guy's a balding 35-year-old fat guy. He couldn't jump 2 inches off the ground. But I wanted that. I'm no athlete. I wasn't an athlete. This wasn't an insult to Mr. Wages. I love the guy. I look up to him, and it's like, but I liked it that he wasn't this big athlete. It means he had to work harder.
Right.
It wasn't natural. It wasn't everything. He was working harder, and every belt that he would move up, you knew he was earning it. And those are the things. It's like you can sell your product by being a showman, but just go into acting like Norris did. That's what I say. If you're going to do it that way, it's got to be serious.
It is. If I could bounce something off you guys just real quick, what do you think is the end game for these shortcuts in martial arts schools? Is it like they want to push more people into competition, or what do you think is the reason why they're doing shortcuts?
Black belt. It's like say we'll speed you up as fast as possible. It's we're gonna get you quick. Because remember, kids have so much ADD now. Mm-hmm. So much ADD now that they might remember that 5-year-old that's losing that having a little fun with that little jump hook kick or whatever. They might be gone in 6 months and forget about it, or hell, 6 days. They might not even think about it again. You might not ever see them like that again. Who knows? It's like that's what kids do. They're probably doing it to speed them up. This is one of the things that you see is like watching wrestling. Vince Russo brought this up in an interview. I'm not a Vince Russo fan, but he was completely correct in this way. He said his kids were 6 and 8 years old, 8 and 10 years old, or something like that, as old as like 11. He said the reason he did his wrestling that he did is because kids did not want to watch 20-minute matches. The people that were watching were the ones that were the 11-year-olds. They couldn't sit still for that, so you had to do the 2 to 3 minutes, and then that's why you had the 8.0, 10.0 ratings. because he
Yeah.
did have an understanding because he had kids that were young at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he had kids that were young at the time. And it's like, I'm not a Vince Russo fan. I think he writes horribly. But he was correct. And now it's getting worse. And so now you're just trying to keep the kids there. You're trying to keep... But the biggest problem I have with it is the fact there's a numbers game. And there are kids with a hard work ethic. And you're messing... And you mess around with any of them, those are the ones that are going to take it serious, especially when the parents have it. When the parents have a work ethic, like, okay, Grant Cardone, the money guy, you don't, if his kids take martial arts, you think they're not going to finish?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to finish because they have a work ethic. There are those out there. It's like the ones with the work ethic, but there's so many that don't have it. And there's a big thing of ADD. There's a big thing of all stuff, and they have to have an understanding.
They do. And you know, what if this is a factor also? Money. You know, it costs a lot of money to have them in martial arts year after year.
It does, yeah.
And it used to be back then, like when you guys took it, it's like, look, there's a lot of money, but we're not kidding, you know? Like, if he's not cutting the mustard, he's not going to pass. And nowadays, they just kind of caved and said, well, it is a lot of money. We don't want to disappoint them, so we'll just go ahead and push them through.
Well, here's the thing. Kids are, I mean, you got to realize schools now, there's a lot of schools that are taking away the zero. And I'm talking about like the academic. They're taking away the zero. They're not.
They don't want to hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah, don't hurt their feelings. Barely F. They don't everything like that. It's like they're taking that stuff. Everybody's doing this, and it's just going to hurt things worse.
It is.
So
it is absolutely.
They're just letting it pass through.
Yeah. I mean that, and you know what? And in adding everything up, yes, this just sounds like one big participation trophy. You know, like, I mean, it should be an overhaul. Martial arts should not be like this at all. Because what if that kid decides to go and take competition and they get waxed because they're unprepared?
Well, like I said, life's a numbers game. Like I brought up Grant Cardone, like what his kids would be. I mean, those are two girls. I mean, what if he would have a boy? It's like it's the equivalent. No matter what we say about the kids of now, you go to a farm town, you go to a middle class or a Midwestern area, you go to any place, you're going to get a kid with a work ethic somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and you mess around with them and you're going to get killed. And those are the reasons that you got, those are the things that you got to have an understanding when you have the responsibility of martial arts, when you have a school, when you have everything. It's like, if I ever get a martial arts school myself, I'm going to have to absolutely make sure and realize I got about 5 or 6 other businesses, including this stuff, that's making money. Because if I make money, it's just, okay, it's lucky break. I got people that want. But I've got to make sure I got people, men and women, kids, everything, that want to work.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not passing this off. I'm not going to pass off belts early like that. I won't.
But it also starts with the parents, Jacob. I mean, you mentioned work ethic. That all starts with the parents and what the parents integrate or instill into the kids. I mean, that's why I have a great work ethic. That's how, I mean, I started working at 15 and I've been working ever since. I had a great work ethic instilled in me whenever I, was growing up, and I've utilized that and used that all my life. And so it's just a matter of how you're raised, how your parents raise you, or whoever raises you. And then the rest is up to you, really. But it all, you know what I mean? It's like a foundation.
Yeah. Someone said something the other day. The fault of a lot of the kids' work ethic now is the milk carton generation from schools. They call it milk carton, and it's like you have everything miniature. What they meant by it is you have everything miniaturized to make everything easy for you. It's like got to remember a lot of there were people. Men did not cook in the same way unless they were from remember they're chefs, but women from like 10 years old used to have to cook. Everybody had to cook. I mean, there was a different world, different time. But everything became a milk carton world. Here's this world here. Then fast food, then all that kind of stuff. Everything became that. It's a microwave time. So, like I said, we can't say everybody because it's a numbers game. It's generalizations.
Yeah.
Right.
So but what we're doing, I think, is the fact that we're doing a disservice to the kids that need to. We're letting them be quote unquote ADD, quote unquote. We're letting it, or we're using it as an excuse. It's like, I'll give you one story, then we can move on to the next thing. My teacher, the thing I really enjoyed about him is he was a psychiatrist, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He had brought a little kid in. The kid had about 6 or 7 at the time. Amazing. His kid's going to be 26 now. I'm feeling old. But like, kid's about 6 or 7 years old. And then he was on like 3 or 4 different medicines. Then it was crazy. And they brought the kid in, and he said to him, and I remember when he started as a white belt, and they said to him, now remember, you're going to get him phased off of, by the time he's an orange belt, you get him phased off of medicine. And they put him in the thing 4 days a week. And he was phased off medicine by orange belt.
Oh, wow.
I mean, this kid was on ADD medicine, all that stuff. They phased him off. That's what you're doing a disservice with the kids on something. You're doing the wrong idea. You got to work on their focus and do everything, and the rest is rest basically kosher. Yeah. It's like you got to get. I mean, and they're training, and it's part of the deal. But you're doing a disservice to them by giving the excuse of the ADD and all that kind of stuff. Because by itself, martial arts can help with focus in itself. It can help with grades. It can help with all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the number one thing is, discipline, like John brought up, but I mean, it actually is interesting. Interesting segue into the next topic here, because we're talking about shortcuts in martial arts schools. Well, there's another shortage, and that is shortage of officials in kids' sports.
John and I have talked about this.
John, why don't you lead us off on this one? Tell us about the shortage of officials in kids' sports.
I think officials just don't want to put up with the BS anymore. They don't want to put up with the parents complaining at every call, at every ball, every strike, every missed call. Like, they don't want to. Officials just don't want to put up with. They don't want to put. I mean, we've seen videos where parents are putting their hands on officials, like. And why? And you don't get paid that well. Like, I know for a fact you don't get paid great. It's like decent pay, but it's nothing great, and it's definitely not worth the crap that you put up with from parents, from coaches. It's not just parents; it's coaches. Like, the fact that these officials, more than the money, they're out there trying to help out and just do their part in the community. Typically, that's why they're out there, because you're not doing it for the pay. And you have to put up with a lot of garbage, which, I mean, as an official, you're going to put up with garbage. And that's okay. But
it shouldn't be this bad.
The stuff that they put up with, I mean, come on. Like, the coaches should know better. The coaches should know they're there for the same reason the officials are. They're there to help mentor the kids, raise the kids, and instill good values into them. And then the parents, who are the people that are supposed to be the main ones instilling these values and work ethic and all that stuff, are the same ones in the stands. Not all of them, because not all of them are like that. Can't put them all in that box, but there's a lot of them, and that's the reason we have this little this topic, is because of the parents in the stands yelling at the umps for every single call, or yelling because their child isn't playing, because little Tommy, who's fat and can't play the field, can't play left field, but mommy wants him in left field whenever he can't move more than 3 feet. Like, sorry, your son just isn't cut out to be a left fielder and go and make a diving catch or rob a ball against the wall. Like, sorry, he's not that. And that is what that is. But the mom or the dad, they still want Tommy to be playing. They want him to be a center fielder and track down the ball. Like, guess what? Tommy's a little fat kid. He's 5'2", and he can't do it.
Well,
it's what it is.
And something, one of the problems is that it's like you have a lot of failed parents in athletics that they're also trying to put their kids in, and it's like maybe the kids want to be, maybe they don't.
Maybe they shouldn't be in baseball. Maybe put them in something like band or something else.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you this: my nephew's in marching band doing trombone. It's like we had the time with my nephew, and it's like he's done basketball, he did soccer, and it's like I watched his games and all that stuff, and it's like he's advanced in science with classes, and he does marching band. And
that's great.
And he's in the Boy Scouts, and he's going to keep advancing there.
That's fantastic.
The kid's awesome. Andrew's awesome. Yeah. My nephew is. And it gets to those things, and it's like one of the issues we have here is the fact that parents want their kids, and a lot of the kids are afraid to tell their parents. I mean, I remember a kid I lived with. He used to say that he wasn't into sports at all, and he remembers asking he was scared to death to tell his parents he didn't want to play football. He's into film. He's into film now.
Nice.
And he's doing background in the film. Not background, but he's doing the crew on films now. He graduated and he's doing crew on films. And it's like he wasn't into sports, but it's like he had said it, and then the parents were accepting. The parents are awesome. His parents were awesome. And they were very accepting of everything. But there's a lot of parents who are just, I mean, it's just like, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And it's like, we still have this problem. And then that also leads to abusing officials. And abusing officials, I mean, there's a picture of a woman showing her black eye when a parent beat the crap out of her. And it's like, for one thing, we never see an official floor them, just throw them down and floor them, which I know you might get yourself arrested, but something like that might put a stop to this.
And you shouldn't get arrested if it's in self-defense.
Yeah.
Because it's just insane. Sorry,
that was another. That was another point I was going to bring up. Is not only are the referees and umpires tired of parents picking fights with them, they're probably tired of breaking up fights amongst rival parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
rival parents. Was it, 6th grade? I mean, that's the thing.
It's like West Side Story or something.
You know what? I say that, but is it true?
Yes.
You're not wrong.
More immature than their kids.
Yep. Shouldn't they be setting the examples for the children?
They should. Meanwhile, the two out there that are on opposite teams, they're just like, dude, it ain't that serious. They confused. You know what I mean? You look in the stands, and it looks like Malice at the Palace. Like,
this is like South Park, that South Park episode.
Exactly. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. You know, like, it just went too far. So I agree with John. You know, like, they're just tired of dealing with that. You know, the pay's not even that good. You know, you may as well go to the pro sports and actually get paid like a good amount of money. Like, yeah, they'll fight, but man, at least I'm getting, $100,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, you're only paying me what over here? Like, no,
it's not
worth
much.
And I'll give you another example that I truly believe, and it might be an opinion, but I don't think it's too far off. When I played in 6th grade. I played baseball 4th, 5th, 6th grade. I'd say probably about 5 years. In the stands, like I told you all that my dad was older. Okay, so I've just said that part. But in the stands, like my dad, for instance, road, bridge, excavation, heavy equipment contractor, over 50 years. Gray hair by the time I was around anyway. You know what I mean? That's that. But then there's people that are 25 years younger, but you know what they are? They're heavy machinists. And then if you're not which is $100,000 a year. Then if you're not that, there are, accountants. There were business owners of all types in the stands with their kids. There were successful people there every single time in those stands. And I'm not just talking about my dad. I'm talking about the people that are watching their kids and they're yelling for their kids, yay, all that stuff. These are successful people. They're thinking about their work. They're thinking of all that stuff. You know what we have right now is much. I played video games with my nephew, but you got people of the same age playing video games all the time. They play video games all the time. They'll watch eggs all the time. It's a different time, so they've got a very snappy, violent streak, and they don't have a whole lot to do. And then the COVID did not help that.
No, it made it worse.
Yeah. I mean, I never laid down. I never stayed in 1 minute. Well, I stayed about 4 days, thanks to my nephew. Stayed in for 4 days. I went out for 9.5 months being a delivery driver. I wasn't going to stay in because you stay in, you're going nuts.
Yeah,
Not
true.
me. Not me.
I think I took all the naps I could during that time period.
Yeah, I don't go nuts in the house. It doesn't bother me.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't stay in.
John's a PS5 guy. He's
oh, yeah.
I was out 14 hours a day.
I got my PlayStation. I got my Sideline Sports Network. I'm good.
Oh, that's understood, but but you understand what I meant, though, John. You're seeing it's like, that is a different time. That was a different time. I'm just bringing up the times as it was.
Yeah.
There were the times when I was there, it was kids with Nintendos and maybe the parents pay with them just for the kicks and grants. But You're getting ready for the day next day. You're watching your kid. You're getting ready for work the next day.
Yep.
It's such a different time now. And then everybody's living in the parents now are living in a fantasy world. Kids used to live in the fantasy world. They play with the box, and maybe
Right.
they're, like you're 2 years old. Then you go out and you have a fort. That was the fantasy world. Parents, 40, 50-year-olds now, 35-year-olds, they're in a fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
When you have Arrested Development, this stuff is going to happen.
It is.
That was a great show.
It is.
That
It
is
actually
true.
was. It's and it's crazy you bring that up, Jacob, because I can recall the first two Nintendo systems. Like my personal favorite of all time is SNES.
Sure.
But
Fantastic.
with the NES and the SNES, they were more kid geared systems.
Yeah.
Systems didn't start getting adult oriented until around the first PlayStation.
Yep.
Sure.
When the first PlayStation came out, and you started seeing,
I don't know about that. The Sega had some pretty violent games.
it did. It had the first. It had the first
Road
four,
Rash or whatever.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
It
Mortal
did.
Kombat, Castlevania.
But how many games were really violent geared like that? Not like PlayStation.
No, but Sega. I mean, let's not knock Sega. They had
No. You're right.
intense
You're absolutely
games.
correct. Yeah. I mean, I still remember the blood code to this day. The first Mortal Kombat.
Exactly.
But you had much more of a volume of it when the first PlayStation came out. You had Twisted Metal, and you had the other.
Nintendo has always been a family-oriented, system. It's always Nintendo's always been that. PlayStation has always been more of the adult. Teenager to adult, and Xbox is the same exact way. It's always been teenager to adult oriented, whereas, like I said, Nintendo's been family oriented. That's why you have Mario Party. That's why you have Mario Kart. Party games. They've always been like party games, or you get groups of people. And PlayStation and Xbox is just, hey, let's do as violent as we can with Call of Duty.
We can.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, I mean, go ahead. Go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, well, that's and let's just not pretend. From when I was saying all that, let's not pretend none of us have ever played. I play with my nephew. I play video games with my nephew. Let's not pretend we don't play it, but it's out there. But what I'm bringing up is there are ones that play 8 hours a day, and these are parents.
I would do that if I had the time.
Yeah, here's the thing, but I'm saying to you though, this is what's causing the issues. I'm not saying you. I'm John. Not saying that. I'm saying to a lot of people that can't handle the fantasy. There's some fantasy in the world, and they do that, and then they get angry, and then they can't handle that their kids get. I mean, it's just there's all a mix, and it's all in there.
But sometimes, as a parent, you need a little bit of escape, because I mean, when you work so much, and all you do is work and take care of your kids and all, and stuff like that, you have no time. So when you get that little bit of time, by yourself to play some video games, like, you want to enjoy it. You want to sit down and relax. You don't want to be interrupted. Like, you just want to, want to sit down and you don't want to think about work and changing diapers and things like that. You just want to sit there and kill people in Call of Duty. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just what you want to do.
Well, right,
Any of you ever watch House of Cards?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
I've seen it.
House of Cards is on Netflix. It's,
I know what it is. I just never got into it.
There was a part, and I'll give you this whole deal. It's like they made a real link to this, whether they meant to or not. There was a part in the first year and maybe going into the second year, he'd be playing violent video games.
Yeah,
for his escape. That's what the guy would do. Then out of the blue, they pulled the video games and got him a rowing machine. Just work out. The wife did. Then he started to do the rowing machine. Then he started getting in better shape. All of a sudden, and whether this had it led to it or not, he moved away, and he also cheated to get there and blah blah blah. But it was a message that he had a lot more gumption. He had a lot more gumption. He was moving up in the White House. He was moving up everything right after he was working out more, and he'd gotten off of that. after he'd gotten off the thing and he'd started working out. And whether they meant to it or not, it was just real. It was real. Once he moved up big time because he had a lot more focus. Whether he was cheating or not, which he was, whether he was cruel and criminal, that wasn't what I was saying. He had more focus when he was working out and doing the rowing machine.
That's with anything, though, Jacob. I mean, it's not just video games. That's anything. If your crutch is Netflix, and after, like we just said, you watch kids, you work all day, come home, the kids are there, they go to sleep. Your crutch, what if it's Netflix? That's the same thing as video games. Yeah. Your crutch is listen to music, like whatever you can get distracted by and get immersed in. If that distracts you from working out and being in better shape, or distracts you from, making sure your network, your business is taken care of, then that's going to take time away from that said business. Even if it's games on your phone, like those little games you can download on your phone, like those distract you. That's why I haven't had games on my phone. Like I used to have games on my phone all the time, just kind of like if I'm bored sitting there, nothing really to do, and I'm like, I'll play a little game on my phone. It's 5-10 minutes. Like I deleted them off my phone a couple of years ago because I realized that even though those are meant to be 5 to 10 minute games, like those games consume so much time and effort, and you don't even realize it. That's why I got rid of them a long time ago, because those games where you got to daily log in and play them each day, it's like, okay, now I got to wake up and every 8 hours I got to claim my reward. Like, think about how much time and how much you're thinking about that. And then you're not thinking about the business you own. You're thinking about, man, I got to unlock that monster truck in that game that I downloaded. Like, that you don't think about that, but it adds up. And I thought about that whenever I used to play Pokemon Go, like all the time. And then I realized how much time that was like taking, and not only taking, but how much I was thinking about it. So, like, just things like that. Just think about that. Anything can be an addiction or take time away from what matters.
I played one game that took this. I'm not kidding you. It was Candy Crush. Just took one thing. I was trying to see how long it would take to beat it, because there's one thing about me. I have to have something I can beat.
I'm the same way with games.
I cannot do something that just keeps going on and on. I don't have it. I will not. But I played Candy Crush. I got to level 51 pretty easily, and then I get an email one day. It says you can buy 540,000 more levels or whatever. And I erased it the minute I got that email, because it showed that it'll never end, and I will not do that. I got to have an end game with everything. It's why I got to win. I got to do that. That's my personality.
Yeah, that's the old school mind frame. Games are meant to be beaten. You know, and if we're going to keep playing this same type of game with this theme or whatever, we'll make the part 2 or make the part 3, Yes. But actually, we're at the 34-minute mark. It's a good time to bring up that we are sponsored by the Score No Score app. Jacob, you want to let us know what Score No Score is?
Oh, and by the way, I remember one night, the one that John, you played it a little on the thing during the World Series.
Yes,
I think you did pretty well. I got my butt kicked.
Yeah.
You got to go. See, but the thing is, I don't know what it is. Maybe because you had it on Android. I had it on Apple. Maybe it didn't like me. I don't know.
That's the first time Android's ever beaten Apple in anything.
I know, that's the truth. That's the truth. But, well, basically, what Score No Score is I love Dom's way of saying it. It's gambling for dummies. You go on there,
and it's not gambling. It's legally not gambling.
Well, that's true.
So you don't have to worry about any of the 50 states being hit with gambling, because it's not gambling.
That's true. It's like you choose. They get you initial tokens, and then you choose. Okay, who will score this inning? Who will score this quarter if it's football? Who will score in basketball? I mean, how many points with this? And they'll keep telling you. And that is what that is, and you make the choice. You might get it, you might not. It's 50-50. That is the big gamble about it.
Yep.
And it's something that you watch. It's something you watch and you aim for. And like I said, as we said, it's on Google and it's on the App Store. Now you can download it. And it's nice. And I'll tell you this, may or may not be addicting. It depends on you.
It all depends on you. But yes, definitely download Score No Score app in the Google Play if you got the Android, or in the Apple App Store if you got the iPhone. Quick update: we've got end of one in game one. Golden State's up 31-28. Curry already has 21 points.
Did you say 21?
Curry's already got 21
Dude's
points.
already, dude's
I've been sitting here. He's been shooting the lights out.
Who's covering him?
60.
Everyone.
Is it White?
I think White's his primary holder.
Oh, White, you're gonna get thrashed this series. My gosh.
Yeah.
That poor kid.
Oh my lord.
Already got 21 points.
He's gonna go for 60.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I just don't think the Celtics. I think
I have Golden State 6.
I go to State at 6 as well. I mean, it's a 4-point game, so I mean, we'll see. They're hanging with them, but yeah. Then our third topic that we want to get into, let's see, is we got the PGA Tour versus the Saudi League.
Ooh, I love this one. I love this one. I see you're ready for it too.
Yes.
What, for anybody that doesn't know what's going on, Greg Norman got into this, helped create a league in Saudi Arabia a few years ago with his money. And they helped put his money up to be able to do this, to go fight the PGA Tour. And the biggest thing is, it's been a war ever since. The PGA has told their players, if you go, you have a choice to go play for them, but you're out. And see, and the biggest thing is, to me, this is the PGA Tour's fault for the amount of for one thing, they have held back a lot of money from a lot of lower end players.
Yeah.
So when you have like the PGA, like this first tournament coming up is going to be a $35 million purse. The first place is $5.5 million, which this is something you get maybe at the Masters.
Yeah.
It's like you get these now. This is a lower level Saudi tournament. And then 8 of their tournaments are going to be in the United States. 8 of their tournaments. Then they're going to England. They're going to go around the world. Right now, they got Dustin Johnson. They've got Charles Schwartzman. Wait a minute, not Schwartzman. I'll remember the name in a second.
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of different players, and I will bet you they're going to get Phil Mickelson soon.
Oh, I guarantee it. If Phil Mickelson and the PGA Tour, Phil is not happy, and he wants to be very petty from what I gather. So I could definitely see him going to do this to shove it to the PGA Tour. And don't be surprised if more follow. Like Sergio Garcia, I could definitely
He's
see
already
Sergio.
there.
Oh, is he already there? Okay.
So
exactly, that's my point. So I could definitely see more people, and you get more spotlight then. I mean, I feel like the PGA Tour doesn't really give the spotlight to, like you said, those lower players. They just kind of go by the wayside, and it's all about your top tier guys, and that's all they promote. I have no problem with this. I actually like what Dustin Johnson did. I mean, this is kind of like Jacob, to me, if a WNBA player goes overseas and plays, and then if the WNBA is like, well, you make your choice, us or them. Like, thankfully, WNBA doesn't do that, but it would be the same thing as if they suck their foot in the ground. You know what players are going to do? They're going to go after what pays more, because that's why you're in the business, to get paid.
Yeah. I do wish WNBA had I do wish personally WNBA did have the money to be able to pay them more, to keep them away.
Of course,
we have the whole situation right now with Brittany Griner.
Yeah,
and it's like that's not fair. And then she had to go over there and go pay.
You can't give them more money you don't have.
Well, you're right, and you're correct. And the one biggest thing is it's going to happen with tennis next. I guarantee you the Saudis are going to go after tennis next. It's like, because see, here's the thing about golf. At least golf in the top 100, you can make a living, but you have the lower ones, but you have the lower end, but you still a top 100. You get top 100 in tennis, you can't make a living. You are in pretty much. You go into the challenger circuits and everything like that, and you're hoping to be able to make, and then you go to the top 500, you can forget it. I mean, that's the futures. Not
to mention, Jacob, I mean, this is no knock against golf. I know that these players work hard. They train rigorously. It's a tiring sport, but tennis, like, it's a draining sport. It's a demanding sport. Mm-hmm. And if you're in that sport and you're not making a living, you're not going to stay in it very long. It's one of those sports that it will wear your body down, and it'll wear it down fast. So it's not worth staying in if you're not making that money. Like, it's a business. You're trying to make money, and that's what it's about at the end of the day.
And I played tennis for years. I get
and it's nothing against golf. Golf is a demanding sport, but it's nothing compared to what tennis is, what tennis demands out of your body, so you have to be making that money. Like you said, lower players aren't going to say.
Well, and tell you this. I'm talking about tennis will be next. I promise you it will be next. And tell you this. Who's to say, especially with someone like Nick Kyrgios who does not like playing? Let's just pretend way back when Andre Agassi, who didn't like playing at the time until he was older.
That's my favorite of all time.
I mean, what if?
Yeah.
Nick Kyrgios. What if you're offering him? Oh, by the way, first round you're going to get $450,000. What if you remember the first rounds of Wimbledon are $35,000? What if you get What if Saudi said, okay, $400,000, $350,000, whatever for the first round?
Just for the first round.
It keeps going up, huh?
Just for the first round, yeah.
Yeah. What if
that's insane?
Huh?
That's insane.
Yeah, but I mean, what if they did that? It's like, and they can, because considering the money they just offered Dustin Johnson a $150 million contract to play in Saudi.
Jeez.
That's why he's able to lose his sponsors. He's got all that money.
Of course, you don't need sponsors when you get paid that much.
No,
he's gonna make up for it. Trust me.
Tell me that Nick Kyrgios ain't gonna try his ever-living butt off now. If he went to Saudi and he got offered that type of thing, and he's still a young enough guy, tell me you wouldn't do that. Tell me Alexander Zverev. I mean, you get all these guys now; they're young and all that kind of stuff. And if you start struggling, you're not making money.
Right, and you know what? There's another thing you got to think about too. If he drops all the sponsors he got in the States, he goes to Saudi, right? Now he's playing for however much money you said, $400 for the first round, and that price goes up. He can land him a whole new plethora of sponsors just from being overseas. Because they gonna see this American cat that's playing for us, that's like, putting us out there. And it's like, yo, this dude is the Jack Nicklaus of the desert. Like, oh man, here comes this sponsorship, here comes this endorsement. Now, next thing you know, he's making 7 times more than he made or would have made in the United States. Bro, tell me one soul that would not take that deal.
Yeah. People forget that they do ads in Japan all the time. The ads. See, what they used to do is they did ads. I mean, the celebrities did ads in Japan because back in that time there was no internet, so you could avoid it. You can make your $250,000. You can make your $250,000. Do that, no one would see it. This is before the movie stars did ads, because you didn't do ads in the United States, but you could do them in Japan. No one sees it but the Japanese. But see, so they've always been money out there.
Yeah.
There's always been money out there, and now there's going to be even more. And guess what? Sponsors here for who cares? The Royal Bank of Canada just shut down the Dustin Johnson. We're going to shut you down. Yeah, he just made $150 million. Who cares? Who cares? It's like you're not saying anything. And then guess what? They'll probably beg for him back.
Yeah.
Well, if he signed a contract where he's being paid that much, they ain't getting him back.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's already theirs.
Well, it's like it's going to change sponsorships. This whole thing. I'm going to say tennis is going to be next. And then we're going to say, the sponsorship thing of sports is going to change so much in 5 years.
It is. And one thing, and John was kind of hitting someone with this, is you take a guy who goes overseas and he's established over there. He's got all these sponsorships, everything that I just laid out in the picture, right? And so he's getting paid more per round. He got all these sponsorships. The United States wants him back. Keep in mind, even if they offer him just as much, if not more, he may not want to find himself starting all over again.
Well, if he's under contract, he can't.
That too, yeah.
He can't go anywhere if he's under contract. If you sign a $150 million contract, chances are, if you sign that much, it's probably like a 10-year deal or something like that. If you're Dustin Johnson, that's just my guess. You're not coming back.
You don't want to piss off Saudis.
No, you don't. You don't. But no, to John's point, if they're but that's just like with anything, you sign a contract, you gotta, unless you formally ask for a release and both parties agree. But at the end of that, because let's face it, golf, man, you can play that until you're like 70s or whatever. How long did Jack Nicklaus play and Tim Daly and all of them?
I think he was 66 when his final tournament.
Yeah, you could play that well into your like 70s if you wanted to, So even when that $150 million contract expires, then it's like, all right, well, do I want to stay here with my sponsors, and get another big deal, land another big deal because I'm still a top 10 player out here. Although I want to start all over, go back to the States, I mean, that's like a crossroads type of deal.
And be treated like I was before.
Yeah.
At the PGA.
Oh, and across the world. So you got a whole. People forget this is the thing like World Cup. People in the United States make fun of soccer. World Cup gets billion. They're looking. They said the World Cup in Qatar is bound to get 5 billion watchers.
Well, people make fun of soccer because soccer is just.
I look
like watching paint dry.
Look, I'm not gonna. I watch soccer when the time comes on something like this, but here's what I'm saying. They're looking at 5 billion watchers. There is more of a world than our United States, is what I'm saying.
There is.
Well, yeah, I mean, because that's globally. United States sports are
330
only in
million.
the United States, right?
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's the exact reason why there's a heavy argument that Gisele Bündchen is more world-renowned than Tom Brady. She's actually an international model.
Yeah, it actually is.
She's an international model. He plays in America.
He plays in America, exactly.
He doesn't play, he doesn't play in Russia or, you know what I mean, or Germany or anything like that. He plays in the United States. So guess what your reach is going to be? The United
States. Exactly.
That's how this works. That's how business works.
Mm-hmm. It may not reach no further than England or even Middle Europe.
That's how podcasting works. If you have a target audience in the United States, then chances are that's going to be your audience. But if you can find a way to expand out globally, then you're going to have an audience here and there. That's how this whole thing works.
That's how it works. And to Jacob's point about the whole globally thing, because let me tell you something. After being overseas, they love. So they feel like soccer out there the way we feel about American football here.
Yeah.
Like I was stationed in Italy in 2006 when they won the World Cup. When Italy won the World Cup, that was the infamous Zinedine Zidane headbutt incident.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was. I remember being out on post. I had to work the night that they beat Germany in the semifinals to go to the final game, and there was cars zooming up and down the street waving the Italian flag and celebratory gunfire.
Oh,
they
yeah.
are passionate.
Have you ever been to an MLS game?
No, but actually, I'm right up the street from BBVA Compass Stadium, so I'm gonna go one of these days.
I went to 2 DC United games, and even those games, the fans are just absolutely just so bonkers, so passionate and just so crazy. Yeah. And not to mention the tailgates, super cool. We walked up to a tailgate, these people didn't know us at all, never met them in our lives, and they're like, hey, you guys want a burger? Hey, you want a hot dog? Hey, you want a beer? Wow. You want a soda? Anything you want. It wasn't like they were like, oh, it's $4. No, they were like, hey, we're tailgating, what do you want? You have anything you want. You go to another tailgate for an NFL or MLB game or whatever it is. You go to a tailgate for any of these other sports. You're not walking up to Joe over there at his tailgate and saying, "Hey, can I have a burger?" He's gonna be like, "No, get the hell out of here."
Yeah.
Exactly. But at a soccer game, they're so friendly at the tailgate and they're so passionate during the game, and they just do the craziest things. It's wild, but I hate soccer.
No. I'm not the biggest fan of soccer either. But here's the thing about this: is the fact I think there is a reason an exhibition is called a friendly in soccer. It's there is something to that with the fans, with everything. They're calling it a friendly, not an exhibition.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, we're in the last 10 minutes of the show. That should bring us to our final topic, and that is. LeBron James becomes the first ever active player to have a total net worth of $1 billion with a B dollars.
Yes,
$1 billion.
Billion.
Tiger Woods isn't a billionaire.
Not quite.
Really?
No, not yet.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Well, you got to realize also.
I thought that he would actually hit it way before LeBron.
Not quite, but you got to realize he also had a divorce. He also had a bunch of things that happened with him. He's had hospital bills. He's had a few things go on. He might be a billionaire if he still kept his nose clean.
Yeah, you know what? I was just about to ask you that before y'all get into y'all spill about LeBron being a billionaire. If not for the divorce, if not for the accident and all that, do you think he would have reached $1 billion by now?
Oh, by miles.
Gosh,
miles. I mean, you got to realize he owns golf course design. He had his video games. If he stayed his nose clean like Jack Nicklaus, forget it.
I mean, imagine if Michael Jordan played in this era Like, because of money-wise, because there wasn't as much money to be had back then when Michael Jordan played. Imagine if he played today.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah,
he would have been a billionaire so much faster than LeBron
he would have. I
because of
mean,
his
that's.
brand and everything.
Mm-hmm.
you got to realize. I mean, you just got to realize that people have to realize all these things. Money was not as plentiful in those times.
Nope.
It
It
is
wasn't.
monstrous now.
Well,
Go
think
ahead.
about this, Jacob, because I think about this a lot. If you think about, name me a player, say anybody from your '85 Bears, say, bring up Jim McMahon.
McMahon.
We'll bring up McMahon. How much do you think Jim McMahon has in his bank account?
Not
Right
much.
now,
Not
Not
much.
much.
Not that
He
much.
played in
Not
the
much.
NFL, didn't he?
He
He
did.
put, yeah, but
But-
no, but
but-
back-
But
no,
I think about this a lot, Jacob, because players like that played in the 80s and the 70s and even the 90s, they probably don't have much money in their bank account when it comes to money from their playing days because there just
Right.
wasn't any money to be had. Like, they weren't paid that much. And it's crazy to think that, like, how much the contracts have ramped up from the Michael Jordans and the Scottie Pippens and Jim McMahons to now. Like, that's mind-blowing for me to think about that. Jim McMahon has nothing compared to what LeBron James has. Like, this is just mind-blowing.
well, and
It is.
well,
Now, you also got to keep in mind that back then inflation was a different thing. Y'all remember New Jersey Nets player Derek Coleman?
Yep.
Absolutely.
One time he signed a contract and it was something like 5 years, $3 million. This was back in like 1991. That was considered a huge deal.
That was, yeah.
That was
Larry
considered a
Bird's-
huge
that
deal.
was- no, that
That
was
that was
Larry
like giving
Bird's-
Mahomes like his money.
Yeah.
No, that was Larry Bird's first contract, 5 years, $3 million with the Celtics. He was the highest paid player in the league.
But think about it. He's Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most
How
players
much was
didn't
Jordan's
get any.
first big deal?
Well, I don't know his first deal. He did not. He did not
Probably
get
a
real
couple
pay.
million.
No, here's the
Probably.
thing. I can give you this. Michael Jordan did not get paid any kind of real money as a player until like his 13th season. He got like 11th season or something. $40 million for 1 year. And that was his first big one. All of his money was his shoes. His first shoe deal was supposed to be like, if you make $1 million, we'll get you a bonus. We'll bonus you. He made $121 million the first year the Jordans did in 1984.
The Nike Air Jordans.
Yes. And it's like, but you talked about, John, you talked about football and what they did. Football's got so much money now, and their pension system is a joke. All these older players that beat their body up are broke. And
So Jacob, you asked me a question, so I wanted to answer it. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
So Michael Jordan made $93 million in his salary and bonuses and all that stuff in his career. All right.
Mm-hmm.
63 million of that was made in 2 seasons. That was 1996-97 season and the 97-98 season. That was 63 million out of his 91 million, which means he only made 28 million in the other 14 years in his NBA career, which means he only made an average of 2 million per season. And he got paid $1 million with the Wizards for the first year and $1 million in his second year. The other years, he didn't start making $1 million or more until 1988, which was his 5th year in the league. That's when he started making 2, then eventually 3, 4, about 3.8. He was making about 2 to 3 to 4 million for his entire career. Like, once he started making in the millions, like, that's crazy. And that was, like you guys said, that was high money. Like, most players didn't get that.
You want to know what the equivalent of this is? Roger Federer. Roger Federer, he makes what he makes on the court when he's playing, which he's getting close to retirement, thank God. I'm just saying this for his knees. Thank God for his knees. But I'm saying this. He made last year 5th in the world. He $91 million. And it was all he didn't play hardly. So it was all sponsorships, all endorsements, all of it. $91 million. He has Lindt chocolates. He does alcohol. He's got it all.
Yeah.
And no, you can say this, John, and Jay, but you can say this. Should the NFL not have should they have a much better by now pension system for the older people? the
Absolutely.
players.
I think
Because
right now the average one is somewhere between $4,000 to $10,000 a month.
that is garbage. And these are players with constant medical bills, constant pain. You know, some of them, I mean, like Dave, there's been suicides. Dave Duerson, that what happened with him from the Bears, and
Bear safety,
CTE. I mean, this happens a lot to a lot of players. We don't have a pension system. Mike Ditka tried his hardest in his prime, like in his time when he was more active. He tried to had his own little thing for the older players, the Warriors, old Warriors or something. He tried to help in his end, but it's like he tried getting in. They tried helping him out, be able to give this money, but they only had a limited amount of money.
Yep.
You know, so it's. But no, what is this going to do? I'm going to say this: what it's going to do for LeBron James. We had remember the 30 for 30 broke.
Yes.
The 30 for 30 broke. I think we're going to see a lot less of this. A lot less of this over the years. You've got Stephen Curry, who I think is going to be right behind. You have Stephen Curry, who has. Yeah, I mean he is. I mean Kevin Durant also. They have put money in some major things that we're going to see into the future. I mean, I get about 4 or 5 business emails a day, and it talks about exactly. Serena Williams has put in. Naomi Osaka has put in. They are
She's
putting.
Next.
Yeah,
that girl's next in line.
Osaka's going to be retired. I think Osaka's going to be retired soon because she also started up her own talent agency. She's going to be retired soon. This is going to be the future. Now we're not going to see as if you're broke now in this era, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Before they didn't have education, they've got education now.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I think LeBron James has led something. He's led some kind of thing as far as we're not going to see as many broke.
That's good. I mean, I don't like seeing these players go broke. I don't like seeing the players have the AI thing happen to them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like hearing about that. I don't like seeing that. I like to see them do well for themselves after their respective sport. Like, I don't want to see any of these guys or girls. I don't want to see any of them go broke. Like, you know, you earned your money. Go enjoy the rest of your life. Make sure you invest right. Don't let these bloodsucker friends or family or whoever come out of the woodwork and be like, oh, you owe me this now. Like, no, just you do you.
No, not at all. You know, and you also have to think, this is something that's going to stay in the family because it's probably a foregone conclusion. Bronny is going to the NBA.
Yes.
Now it depends on how his career is going to turn out, but you got to think either way, that's more money coming into the family. What LeBron was doing was creating generational wealth. Because let's face it, off of $1 billion, how many generations did he just feed?
Oh yeah. Well, also he's going to get paid for years and years and years, like Michael Jordan gets paid every year. You know what I mean?
Well,
like he's never going to stop.
Shoes.
Yeah.
LeBron's going to have his shoes.
Yep.
He's going to have his shoes. He's going to have his shoes. LeBron invests in a lot of stuff. He's got his own film. He's got his own film. He's got his own agency, King James Agency. He's got that. He's got his own film studio. Even though Space Jam was garbage, he's got that. But even with the Space Jam being garbage, he does a lot of documentaries that make awards. He's got all that stuff. He's going to add about 6, 7, 8 billion. He's going to get up there. He
will. And I can also see him coming out with his own agency with agents that will take care of these players. He's been a rich guy for how long? I can see him kind of like, you know what? It's about time I start my own firm.
Here's what's going on. Here's what's going on. I want you guys to know this. There are, for instance, athletes that are starting. Like for instance, Naomi Osaka just started her agency. There's been others like there's one that's Donde Agency.
Kanye West just started his own.
Yep. There's going to be black athletes going with black agents, and LeBron started that with Maverick. He brought Maverick in, and he started that. So it's like we're going to start seeing. It's going to be a divide in that level. There's going to be a divide in that way. The black athlete is going to go with the black agent now because there's going to be so many black agents.
Yeah, and all it is just putting it. It's giving opportunities. LeBron believes in giving opportunities to those who no one would take a second look at him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that way, regardless of how you may feel about him as a player and whatnot, his philanthropy
Yeah.
I said has long overshadowed Jordan. Long overshadowed Jordan.
My thing with LeBron is I think I really see the biggest thing about Michael. I think what made his legend is he kind of kept things close to a vest. Whatever he chose, whatever everything. It doesn't matter that Bron does more activism than Michael does. That does not matter. That's who he is. That's fine. LeBron everything he does, whether he's on the court or his activism, he sounds like a whiny baby.
And it's all got to be all about me. Hey, look what I'm doing. Hey,
Yes.
I got to make myself involved in this tweet, just so everybody pays attention to me. Like he always has to have the spotlight on him. Like when he went to his son's game, like he stood up and he had to make the spectacle, make it about himself. You're at your son's game. Sit down. Everybody already knows you. Everybody already knows you're there. You're LeBron James. Like everybody in the damn stands already knows you're there. Sit down. This is about your son. Let him have the moment. And LeBron couldn't. Like he went to a game, him and his friends were there, and they made it about themselves. LeBron made it about himself, as opposed to just letting his son have the spotlight. Like that's my problem.
And then there's the 8 pictures that you'll show, 8 or 9 or 10 pictures of you showing him reading a book, and it's all on the first page. They're all on the first page, and it's like, are you a reader? I don't know, but it's like I don't need to see that picture, and it's like that's the whole thing, Jay. I'm just saying, and John, I'm just saying with LeBron, it's like I don't care that he's an activist and Michael's not. That depends on a personality.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with basketball. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with it, but it's not that. My thing is everything he does, you're right. He has to have the attention on it, and he sounds like a baby. I'm saying he sounds like a petulant child. And it's like he doesn't sound like a man getting things and taking charge. He sounds like everything has to do as a complaint, as a victim, as everything. That's where my issue is. Whether he's on the court and he fought for 180 pounders. Everything is a victim look to it. That's what I don't like. But I don't have an issue with him being a philanthropist or the activist or any of that stuff like that. He has changed things. We have to admit that.
I think he's a people pleaser, and he cares what people think way too much. And that's what I think those are two big problems with him, is that he just cares what everybody thinks. So just like Kevin Durant, like he cares what everybody thinks. So it affects him mentally. It affects him.
Here's the thing. He hates Trump. He is Trump. He doesn't. This is the truth. He hates him, but he is him. A crybaby, a 10-year-old girl, every bit of a detail. He hates what he is. And it's like the only difference is they both have the same hair. That's just the truth. But I just have to be completely honest. It's like I don't have that. What I'm saying is not a thing against any certain person on that. It's just what the truth is.
Yep.
Right.
It's just the truth. It's like you are what you hate. You can say whatever, but we can't just go politics and pretend that someone doesn't have a flaw, or our players. And that's what fans do. We got to say what the truth is.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we did. We actually had about an hour and 4 minutes. The last topic was pretty riveting. But I'd like to thank everyone out there for tuning in to this week's episode of Pundits Pundit. I'd like to thank Mr. John Shear for coming on, taking time out of his evening to come and discuss things with us. Mr. John Shear, if you could let everyone know where we can find you.
Yeah, BlueHawks13 on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn, search John Shear. You can definitely find me there. Please go check it out. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube, Sideline Sports YouTube, and check out all the great shows. I mean, not just Sideline Sports Show, but Sports Arena Monday and Wednesday nights. I mean, we got so many great shows. We got a show every single night of the week. Gauntlet on Saturday, Basket Bros Sunday. Go on and on. We got shows every single night of the week. And you're going to want to check them out because all the people on our network are just fantastic. They all do a great job. They're all just super talented, and we appreciate if you check out all our social media. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And where I'm at is I'm on during the season with a better team, thank goodness, next year. The Megan Price is the Gauntlet. Not the Gauntlet. I'm sorry. The carousel. I'm saying carousel. Yeah, but it's like, no, but my fault. But the NBA carousel, Megan Price's NBA carousel, that's Monday nights, Tuesday nights on Confidential with about 847% of the Sideline Sports. Trying to figure out how many people we have. Yep. Yeah. And then Thursday nights here, this show, the Pundits Pundit. Sunday nights with Basket Bros, Dom DeRubis, Will, and you, and Will Fogel. And we have everything. And I am telling you right now, I think we are. I'm going to say this right now. It doesn't even matter if we're new and if we're up there. I think we're better than ESPN. We talk about things like we had 4 subjects they won't bring.
Right.
We had 4 subjects they will not bring out in the deal. We will say things. We're not playing this thing. Oh, don't say this. We're not doing that.
We don't do PC here.
No, there's no PC here. We're bringing things out there. We're bringing subjects out there they won't touch.
Exactly.
And I think we are better, and that is pure and simple.
We're the people's ESPN, as Jake Malik would put it. Jake and John have pretty much said where you can find me. Also, be sure to check out John's show. Oh, what a show! Awesome coverage of the Baltimore Orioles, and also check out our show Confidential, coming soon in I think about a week. We still got to iron out some details, but it's going to be a crossover show because the Cubs are playing the Orioles, and
nice.
And it's going to be a super show called Oh, What a Confidential.
And the show will be better than that series.
And the show, well, please stay tuned for that. We're still ironing out the details. There's going to be 2 nights of fun. One's going to be in confidential format. The other's going to be in Oh, What a Show format. So John is going to be gracious enough to bring himself and the gang on, and he's going to link up with us, and we're going to have some fun and talk Orioles, Cubs, baseball. But right. that is it, everyone. Thank you. Go ahead,
Thank you for coming on, John. You bet.